Okay, let's talk about the very first project for this course. What we're going to do throughout this course is look at some real data and see if we can utilize that data to try to understand some of the portfolio concepts. So we'll be doing this for stocks, for portfolios, for options, for bonds, etc. So for project one, the first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to open the what's referred to as Total Price Database 2019 Excel file, and I have it already open here on the right. This has all of the pricing that we're going to need for this project. And if you look, these are monthly prices, and as we go across, the yellow columns are stocks, the blue columns are mutual funds, these next three green columns are indexes. Here's the Nikkei Japanese exchange, the German exchange, and the S&P 500. We have some economic data. We have treasury bills, 4-week treasury bill return numbers. We have an index for small cap. There's the S&P 500 again. We have mid cap, so this is small, large, and mid cap. We have columns for AAA and BAA bonds. We have gold and silver as indexes, and we have a 30-year treasury bond as indexes. And again, you can see we have our indexes out here at the end. It'll just make some copy and pasting some later projects a little easier that those are duplicated. As you go down the list, you see we start on May 1st of 2015. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, you'll see we end up with May 1st, 2019, which gives us 49 data points. We're going to calculate returns. So for a return, you need 2 data points. So that's why we have 49, because you're going to use up one of those numbers with the very first return that you calculate. So if you looked at the top, you'll see that there's an empty column here. That column says yours. I want you to go out and I want you to find your own company and gather the data. So when you're gathering this data, you're going to go out to yahoofinance.com and you're going to get that data. So let's see how we might do that. I'm going to scroll over here and find my Yahoo Finance. Here's Yahoo Finance. And when you open this file, you'll see on the right-hand side, there is a place for a quote. So let's say, I forget which companies I have in the index, so I don't want to use the same one. Let's say we want to use Microsoft. So if you type in MSFT or if you type in Microsoft, it'll come up. So this is the company you want. Of course, you have all these other companies are available as well. So you can do anything you want. If you want to do Apple, right? So here's Apple right here, AAPL, right? You can do almost any company you want as long as it trades. So let's go ahead and use Apple. So we're going to pick Apple. It's not on my list, so I'm going to pick enough. So that's Apple. Here's Apple Inc., right? So you pick that company, and here's the company. We want to go down here to historical data. When you click on the historical data link, it'll take a little bit for that to open. So there we go. Here is your data points that you want to choose. We want prices, we want monthly prices, and we want to go from, we're going to put this date in here, 5/1 of 2015 to 5/1/2019. Now the reason we don't go clear up to a more recent date, I mean I'm doing this in July, is that the economic data is usually a month or two behind as far as getting reported. So now here we have, this is the date we want, right? May 5th to May 5th, 2019, monthly data, historical prices. All you do is click the apply button, and here's your data. We will now want to download that data to a spreadsheet. So you download the data. You'll see it loads right down here. It loads pretty quickly, and the data is going to open. Here's the data that we need, and if you notice, it goes from 5.1 down. Now look at all these columns. We don't need all these columns, and as you read through here, you'll see we definitely don't need the high, close, and open. The close is the actual closing price, but we want to have that price adjusted. What do we adjust it for? We're going to adjust it, as you see here, where the close is adjusted for dividends, but the adjusted close is also corrected for stock splits. So we want to make sure that these returns, or the prices that you see, are all relative prices, assuming the changes in value that occur with splits. And of course, now all you're going to do is you'll take, what I would do is I would put Apple here. Apple, oops, I'm sorry. Put Apple in that top column. Now you just need to copy this column. Copy. Go back to your price, and where it says yours, click on yours, and you are going to paste, and I would paste this as a value. So paste as a value. Make sure that it shows up the way you want. You can choose any of these, but this is the one we want to do. Choose, paste it as a value. So now we have Apple stock in there. So what you need to do now, though, is figure out which one of these other 5 you want to delete. So in this case, let's say you didn't want to do Starbucks then. So then you would just delete that column, and now we have all the data that you need for this spreadsheet. So you're going to save this spreadsheet, File, Save As, highlight that, put your name, Data 2019, whatever you want to call it there. I'd give you a suggestion there, Portfolio Data, and hit Return. So now it's saved. Now you also haven't destroyed that other data. That other data there is still there, so if you do mess up along the line, you can always retrack your steps. So now what we know is we have all of this data. We need to figure out what we're going to do with this data. Now the first thing I ask you to do is to copy and paste some stuff for me. So you're going to copy and paste, right, the first 9 columns and the first 8 rows. So just give me a copy. I just want to make sure that you have all of this data. So you're just going to copy, open your Word document, and right here, I want you to, you're just going to paste it right here. Now when you paste Excel to Word, you have to be careful how you do this. If you copy it just as columns, there are more columns here than there is space on the page, and that won't work. So what I always do, if I'm copying over here, I want to go paste. You can do paste special if you want, but these little icons here will help you to make sure you put things in the right way, and you want to put them in as a picture. Type it as a picture. Now just so we can highlight this right, so we make sure it's formatted correctly, just do a right click on the picture. I do wrap text, just do square, whatever you want to do. And I don't know if you noticed, but now it changed the format, so now this can be moved anywhere in the document. You can now also expand and contract as you want in the document. So that's the first part of this. Next, we want to take this entire worksheet and we want to copy that into the what's referred to as the Portfolio Project Workbook. So what you need is to start with the word date and gather all that data. Go over and gather all the data that you have in this box. Again, it goes clear over to Z51, and you're going to hit copy. And again, now we're going to go to the other worksheet. I have it open in the background here. So here's the other worksheet. Oops, I'm sorry, it didn't go. Oh, I was clicking the wrong worksheet. It's this one right here. Click this worksheet. I'm sorry. There you go. Sorry about that. And now we want to go to what's a Project 1 data. So you click on Project 1 data, and now this looks exactly like that other spreadsheet. So all you got to do is find the date button, because that's where you started with the date. And again, you're going to copy and paste. Again, when you're copying from one place to another, I always like to make sure the data comes over the way I want it to come over. In this case, we want it to come over in value form. So again, here's all the data. This is the data that we have. And if you notice, here's your company that you added. Okay, so that's the end of part A. It also asks you to copy and paste special values in the worksheet data. Again, just to make sure that we have this in place, I would just copy and paste a couple of rows if I were you. Right, just copy a couple, get them in here, copy, right, put it down here, right, and then so go up here, text, here's this one, click on the right, do the wrap text thing, go square, boom, so now there it is. So now that's the end of part A. Make sure you save these files. So this file, you want to save this file as Portfolio Project Workbook, but I would again put your name on this so it's saved for your name. That way the old file's not destroyed, and if you do screw up or something, we can come back and we can replicate the project. So that's the end of project or Project 1A. So now what do? Project 1C. So it tells us to go to this workbook that we have now, and you're going to go to Project 1B. It's this label down here. Click on the label, and what you'll find is we've done all the calculations. Here are the monthly returns for all those assets. Here's the statistics for all those data. So we're going to talk about all of this, and we're going to generate most of this stuff down here in a later project. So now we have all the data. So what you're asked to do in Project 1B is to create some portfolios. If you look over here, I've input 3 portfolio columns. So there's 3 portfolios. Portfolio A is going to be a portfolio that has no short sales. So you can't put any short sales in this particular project. Portfolio B, you have to have at least 1 short sale. And Portfolio C is a mutual fund portfolio, and you're not allowed to have, you cannot short sell mutual funds. So we will not put any short sales in here. So how do you choose? Well, if we go to column 7 here, and what we want to do is we want to split the column. So if you go to View, all right, and we want to split. So now you see there's a line here. So what we can do is let's scroll down to the statistics, right? So you would like, this is again a strategic kind of investment. Here are the 5 mutual funds that you can invest in. If you notice, on average over this time frame, there were 3 of them that had negative returns. So again, it's just the way the data came out. That's just the way it is. So we want to create portfolios with this. If you notice, asset 3, which is Harley, and your asset, which is Apple, they're the only, I'm sorry, that's all right. Disney and Apple are the only 2 with positive average returns. So we're going to go up here. We're going to make sure we put the most amount of money in those. So let's put 30%, 0.3 in Disney, and we'll put 0.3 in Apple. That means we need, again, there's no short sales here, so let's put 0.1 in hemp. We'll put 0.1 is in hog, and 0.1 is in Molson Coors. Now, if you look over here, I have a little ticker for us that tells us that you've only invested 90% of your money. So we need to put another 5% of our money in here. So what I would like to do is I'm going to put another 5% there, another 5% there. You notice we now turn to 100. We need to do the exact same thing with portfolio B, except now take into account that we actually have some negative investments. So the two that lost the most are hemp and hog. So those are the two that we want to have the biggest short sales in. So let's put negative 30% in hog and negative 30% in hemp, and negative 30% in hog. So then what would we do? Let's look at the other investments that we can make. We still have 5 other ones to invest in. And if you look over here, our short sale is 0.75. So I have a short sale here in asset 5. That's the one that made the most money. So let's put 30% in there. Now you can see that it's what? 1.20. So I've got to get rid of 20%. Now I lost some money in this one. So again, I'm going to change this one. I want this to be 0.20. Again, you can see my files have changed dramatically. So now I want to change. So I need another 40%. So I'll put 0.70 there. Again, you see it comes out to 1. Again, over here I have an evenly distributed portfolio. If you look at the returns, this one is the one that earned the least amount of money. If you look at, this is a stock fund. This is a equity income fund, so it has stocks and bonds in it. There's bonds in this one. This is a bond fund, and this is, that's not right. This is an international fund, and this is a bond fund. So maybe what I want to do is get a little bit of money out of this one, right? So let's just put again, I'm just making numbers up, 0.15 in there. We still need 10%. The one that earned the most money is this one, so we'll put in 0.35 in that one. Again, just make up some weights, doesn't really matter. As long as they add up to 1, we're in good shape. So that is the end of 1B. Now what I would like you to do now is just to copy and paste your weights. So you'll take your weights, right? This it tells you to go to L4. So we just don't have to go quite that far. Copy this. Again, come over here in my Word document. And again, I copied it, so now I want to come over here, want to paste it. Again, right click it, gives me format, just do square. Again, I don't really understand all that means. It tells us whether the numbers, whether it goes around the numbers, in the numbers, whatever. So now here is our 1B. So now you just go down the list and you're going to answer these questions for 1C. Basically, you're plugging in some data and you're going to look at the data to try to determine, in this case, the primary thing we're looking at is assets, and are these assets normally distributed or not? And again, from the text, you will find how to answer that question in the text of the course. So that's the end of Project 1. Now this whole thing shouldn't take that long. It will take you a little bit of time, obviously, to do this piece. So I would say roughly in a half an hour to 40 minutes, you should be able to complete this exercise and then get ready to do Project 2. I'll see you in Project 2.